Hello and welcome back to part two of GM tips this morning on a nice holiday weekend. This is GM Rick, and I'm not only going to spend time talking Galarian, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on what else can you get campaign and adventure wise if you don't want to use Galarian. And this can be either for Dungeons and Dragons 5e or for Pathfinder. So as we go through this, just keep this in mind that I'm going to go through a couple of the ones that are out there. I think first and foremost, I'm going to give props, and no offense to anyone else on the manufacturer side, but Kobold Press has done such a great job on their material. I really have looked into Midgard, more I think to the Southlands. The Southlands intrigues me for that whole thing, even though Midgard's kind of interesting. And like I said, it's kind of a dive into a campaign system that is based off of the whole Odin and the gods, the Norse gods, and Midgard being the world of men. And so I kind of like it. It's an interesting twist. They have the world serpent is the core of that whole thing, and then from there they go down and go to the different Pathians, and they include a little bit of everything. So they include uh, African and Egyptian gods and goddesses, as well as some of the Norse and Nordic gods and goddesses, and then some interesting creations of their own. The realm itself, well laid out, and the material very comprehensive. Again, another system kind of like the Inner Sea and Galarian, where they give you a fun timeline. Um, it is rich. I still like a little bit of the numbering and the things that Paizo does a little more. But that said, wonderful Kobold Press folks, it doesn't take away from your material. Your material is well written. There's a lot of cohesiveness. They talk about how the realms, especially in the Southland and in Midgard itself, tie together. They put in a lot of material when it comes to, again, having a pirate and sea realm campaign, as well as the demon cults and some other things that are really interesting in that world. They give a lot of richness to the cities themselves and a lot of history to the cities. So, as a GM, it'll give you a lot of ability to really take and build on one of these cities and really base your adventures around it. Again, they do have a fair amount of adventure material. They don't have as many paths as, say, Pathfinder does and Paizo, but that said, they do versions for both D&D and for Pathfinder. So well done, guys at Kobold. And again, I should say guy at Kobold. There's other people that contribute, but there's one main person there who knows who he is. And I really think he's done a great job of building the Kobold Press into a major player when it comes to campaign material. And also, they have the Kobold uh, magazine, which is well written, that has material not only for his own world, but also for the Inner Sea and Galarian. It has wonderful interviews with the Paizo folks, as well as many other things. So, again, one place to go when you're looking at alternate campaign material. Next, Frog God Games. Frog God Games, again, an interesting publisher. And I've gotten a couple of their campaign material when it comes to, I won't say campaign, but module material when it comes to their modules. Now, they do have the Lost Lands series, which they go through modules in the Lost Lands, which is really great. They do hit some of the things of faith. They also do the Under Realms and Lost Lands and the Cyclopean Deeps. They do talk about a lot of the different realms in the Lost Lands. So it's an interesting thing. I think where most people know Frog God from is Rapanathuk, which is a mega dungeon of epic proportions that you can get that I really like. I think Rapanathuk was well written. And they also do Tome of Horrors, which is another big part of their material. I wanted to say, I think there is for a GM the makings of a good campaign in their material. It's not as comprehensive, I think, as our guys at Kobold and at Paizo, but again, it's another place you can go to really campaign. Um, Another company that I wanted to look at is Avalon Games. Avalon has a lot of interesting material when it comes to material for Pathfinder itself and solo adventures and other type of deals. They give a lot of add-ons to the classes and magic. So again, realm-wise, I believe they do have some realm materials. I've gone through their site. Uh, but that said, I think they're much more of the add-on material and Heroes Weekly type of material. So for me, I like Avalon. It just I don't know if there's as much there as I would like to see from the campaign side of things. So let's go to another game company. As you can tell, I'm going down kind of a list of the different ones. Um, let's go to Purple Duck. Purple Duck, I like, and we'll hit them as well as uh, some of the other ones like Right. They have a whole deal on Porphyra, and Porphyra is their campaign material. They do some really interesting material on the different classes and other things, but Porphyra is the realm that they really work with, and it's the lands of Porphyra. It's pretty well priced. I mean, $35 isn't a bad price. 35 to 40. And basically, they talk about the New God Wars and how it affects their world, and it really enriches some of the things that you can dig into with a realm. They've got basically the coalition of the elves and the orcs that is working together in their campaign. They have the elemental lords, and they also have about 50 odd nations and regions that make up the patchwork world of Porphyra. Again, I think it's interesting to look at, and if you want something different, I would absolutely go for it. They have their own pantheon of gods that they put around the world, so it'll give you something a little different. You can use the core Pathfinder books with it, and the cost of investment is pretty reasonable. And they do a lot of adventures that are revolving around that world. So, in saying that, I think it's definitely worth a whirl. I haven't had a chance to dig in and read their books, unfortunately, like I have many others. So I look forward to the time when I buy their material and really dig into their realms and their campaign. And for me, that's a huge deal. Um, you have the writers of Pathways, which is another offshoot of the Wayfinder type books for Pathfinder, and that is out of Right Publishing. Right Publishing is well known. Right Publishing does a lot of material for Pathfinder, and Right Publishing does their own campaign realm as well. So just keep that in mind as we dig into things. That Right Publishing is another place you can go to find a campaign, and you can really work with their material easily and integrate their material easily to be used in your Pathfinder system. Uh, oh Lord, sometimes when I do these reviews, I feel like I'm mechanical, and I hope you guys don't feel that way with my going into things. Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist is one that intrigued me. I got to be real honest. And when I saw the Zeitgeist material, I wanted to buy it. I think for me, I've always wanted to do something really unique and different for my campaigns, and I think something based in the Zeitgeist type of system would be really fun. The whole Zeitgeist world has an interesting and rich background of evolution and revolution, and it takes you to a kind of a darker realm. Uh, and so keep that in mind that uh, they have the beginning stuff, which is really good, the Zeitgeist, the Gears of Revolution. And then they have the different Zeitgeist paths that go along with it. The campaign guide. There's just so much interesting material with the Zeitgeist campaign, and I really like it because they've got Drakkar, Rysur, and Chris, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, guys. Ryan Knock is the guy who really worked on a lot of this material. Chrysalir, and Jer. There's some interesting places on that world, and their interaction with each other is stormy at times. And so it just lays a whole darker seated realm. So if you like that kind of a realm where not everything's bright and shiny, it has a great past, great history, Zeitgeist is a place to go. I really think it'll be well worth the money spent. You will invest some material in Zeitgeist. It is not uh, that expensive, honestly. So hang on real quick, and I'll be right back. Now, much of the Zeitgeist material is free for the campaign. However, when you get into the adventures and things like the Gears of Revolution, you're going to be paying anywhere from $5.99 to $9.99 to the Gears of Revolution, which is $29.99. These are all PDF format, so you'll be getting the PDF on these. And again, I think it's a great set of material to run a campaign with. And so I would say go ahead and give it a try, especially if you like a more steampunky-ish Pathfinder. It's an interesting foray into that. Uh, so as we're looking through the different material, we've gone through Wright, we've gone through Frog God, we've gone through Kobold, we've gone through Purple Duck, we've gone through the Zeitgeist folks. Um, I think Necromancers of the Northwest is another one that is kind of interesting. Um, they've got a lot of things when it comes on to the mythic portion of things, and then the grimoires on the different type of material and guns. Um, and aliens. So they have a lot of material that can be used with the campaign and with different campaigns. Uh, do they have a campaign themselves? I was looking through, and I don't know if I necessarily saw anything on that. Again, forgive me, guys. If you guys do, please speak up a little bit more. They have more exotic encounters, uh, different histories and origins for your classes and races and other type of material. Um, they have some uh, mythic realm characters and creatures. So keep that in mind. They're not so much a campaign as just enhancement material for your campaign. And so I like them for that reason. It's again not necessarily a campaign to play. Now, the other one I will say that is really interesting um, is that sorry, got a text. Um, the other one that's really interesting, of course, is Pure Steam. And Pure Steam is a steampunk campaign. They base it in in a realm that they base off of Earth and the Pacific area for the United States. So they got the Pacific and the Atlantic areas that they're doing a two-parter. They're doing the weird. They're doing a go west one, as well as the Eastern realms. They give you a little bit of information on what is Mexico and Canada. And it's I like it because they integrate a kind of an interesting history of it all and how it came about. Plus, you're in the steam powered age, so there is magic in that age as well as technology. The two battle each other, and yet they mix together to make it all work. So I like it because it's two books. The second book, the West one, is coming out real soon. They just got done with the Kickstarter on it, so it will be out for purchase here in the next few weeks. I love that I got the first one, and I really cherish it. I look forward to running it. They do some materials on adventures, but it's not really where they're putting their focus. They're doing more of giving you a campaign to run and a world and all the rich history around it. And they give you some new classes, archetypes, and other things that you can use that I really enjoy. And so I think I've done a little bit on theirs before, but it's another place that you can go. And again, I'm probably leaving some others off, but I'll give you the name of some other manufacturers to go look and see if they've got campaign material. You got Raging Swan Press. You got Avalon Game Company. You got Everyman's Game, Legendary Games, Rogue Genius. Of course, you got Green Ronin with the Freeport campaign. Love Freeport, by the way. Great place to campaign around if you're going to do it. Get the Freeport campaign book. Well worth the money spent on that one. Uh, Fat Goblin Games, Louis Porter Design, AAW Games, The Naughty Works, KNOTTY-Works, and Interjection Games. All of them are designed around Pathfinder and Paizo, but they also, I believe, do some D&D 5e stuff as well, versions of things. So keep that in mind as you're doing this. But looking at all these, the one nice thing is you can go a lot of different places to find campaigns that are pre-done, pre-written, that you can modify and work with versus doing your own, especially if you're time crunched. These are some ones that'll get you into some different realms that you normally may not play into in campaign systems. There's so many that I want to try that I just don't have time for them. So I went with Kobold Press. I've gone with Pure Steam and their take on things. And then hopefully I'm going to do some things either with Frog God or with one of the others where I do some campaign material out of there as well. Just wanted to do a little bit of a dive into what other things are out there for you, so that way as you're GMing, you don't have to feel like you have to home sandbox everything. You can take other people's stuff and modify it. There is no shame in that, especially if you've done enough sandbox games. After a while, I've heard people say it, I burn out, and I agree. And by using other people's material and modifying it, your burnout is a whole lot lower. And keep that in mind as you're looking at those type of things. And again, I hope you have a great holiday weekend if you're having a fourth holiday, or if you're just having a long weekend, or if you're just having a regular gaming weekend. I hope you have a great weekend this weekend. I hope I gave you some things here. Sorry for the interruptions, part of being a dad. So as long as you guys can endure that, and you can look at the nice, pretty kitty up there, everything is really good. Thanks, guys. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.